What's going on? This is Charlie from Xclusive Autoworks, and today I'm going to be showing you guys the process of tint that we do here at Xclusive. Right now we have this 2024 Hyundai Palisade in. On this car we're doing just the front windows, so the front driver and passenger windows. For the car we are going to be matching the fronts to the rears. So yeah, for that process the first thing we're going to do was measure. Next we're going to be taking the film to plot it, because we are going to be using the plotter to cut out the windows. After that we're going to disassemble the door panels, because we usually take out the sweeps, which are the seals in between the window and the door card. We take those out usually because they can leave behind debris and little fuzzes when you're installing. So if by removing those you're eliminating one other factor that could add debris to your tint. And then after that we'll go straight to the install. So without further ado, we'll start with the plotting. All right, so first we're going to take the tint meter to measure what is on the rear right now. It's reading 18, so we're probably going to be putting on 20% to the front. That will match. So we're going to go with 20s on the front. Next we're going to be getting the film from our rack back there, and we're going to take it to the plotter so we can cut out the patterns. And I didn't mention it before, but this customer is getting ceramic tint. So we have carbon and ceramic here. There are a couple more benefits to getting the ceramic version of the tint. One, it does have a truer black color. So if you're going for aesthetics, it will be a little more of a true black, as well as the heat rejection. So the ceramic does a lot better job at rejecting heat. So if you're going for staying cool in the summer and in the sun, the ceramic is a great option for you. So we are going to grab this 20% ceramic, and we're going to take it to the plotter and get that pattern cut out. Right now we're just grabbing the tint and we're going to be throwing it on the back of the plotter. And this is our graphite plotter you guys have seen in a couple of our other videos if you have watched those. So these plotters do support different materials, so we can do tint as well as PPF on here. And on here we're also using Core. This is also the same software that we use for our PPF plots, which again makes our lives a lot easier that we can use the same software for tint and PPF. So once that is sent, it's going to be sent straight to the plotter, and that is going to cut the pattern. And while that is plotting in the office, that allows us to go ahead and start prepping the window. So we're going to prep the glass, make sure it's clean, as well as do the disassembly of the door card. All right, so Christy has this entire door panel disassembled. You can see this is hanging on by a S-hook here, completely off the car. I'm not gonna touch it because it might fall. We also have this trim removed up to here. We're just gonna tuck this out of the way when we are installing the tint. Same thing for this one up here. And she did remove that sweep, which is sitting in there, which is that seal I was talking about before, that sits on this rail. And now we have this cover that is gonna protect the interior panels when installing the tint, because the tint is a wet install, so you don't want to be getting water all over, especially on any of this delicate electronic stuff behind the door card. All right, so the plot is done. We're just going to roll this up so we can take it to the table to then weed it, which is removing the excess material. So Chris is just going to roll that up. We'll chop it off right there, and then we'll bring it to this table to start the weeding.
And unfortunately the audio from the camera did cut out for a little bit here, but right now Christy is just beginning the glass prep, so she's just using a scrubbing pad and some slip solution, which is just soap and water, to scrub and clean the windows. And next she's using a razor blade to clean the glass even further, just by scraping away any kind of gunk or buildup that could build up on the glass or the edges. And the next step is to use a little bit of clay. This is going to help level out the surface and make it perfect and pristine to install the tint. And the last step is to squeegee away the water that is carrying any of the dirt that was removed by the razor and the clay. And the next step is going to be called shrinking. So what you do here is taking the tint on the backing still and putting it on the outside of the glass. You're then going to take a heat gun and heat away all the edges. And what this does is help conform the tint to the glass, specifically to the curvature of it. So when you install it, you're not going to run into any fingers or wrinkles. And the next step is the fun part, and that is going to be the install. So Christy's just removing the tint from the outside. off of the backing paper and is going to put it onto the inside of the window. And during this step, you do have to be very careful not to let it touch anything other than the glass. If it touches your arm, your clothes, even the inside of the door, you could end up getting debris in there. So right now, Christy is just aligning the pre-cut to the edges. You want to make sure that this is lined up as best as possible. And next is squeegeeing. So tint is a wet install, so you do have to squeegee out the water. The reason why it is wet install is because the glue can make it kind of hard to shift the tint around when you want to line it up precisely. And once the water is squeegeed out from in between the tint and the window, it will then cure and stick to the glass. And the last two steps here are just going to be wiping down the window to make sure that we don't see any obvious marks that stand out. And lastly, just going to be post-heating, so just taking a heat gun around the edges as well as the entire tint, which is then going to activate the glue. And then all Christy has to do here is put the car together and the car will be good to go. So that is going to be the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed and found this educational. Please leave a like if you did enjoy it, and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you are interested in booking tint, you can go to xclusiveautoworks.com and book your appointment today.